Hi guys, welcome back. So this is going to be a short video of how to solve more of the complex equations. So we do have a quadratic equation here because the exponent of x is 2. So we have to think about how we would solve it. Well, one of the few ways that we've learned about is the quadratic formula, factoring method, right, using the generic rectangles. So what you notice here is that we have some decimals happening. So sometimes when we solve more of the complex equations, we want to make them more simple. So what we can do with this equation is we can think of a way to make those decimals turn into possibly whole numbers. So one of the ways that you can do it is by multiplying every single term of the equation times 2, because that would give us the 3x, and that would give us a 5. You could also multiply every single term times, for example, 10, but then you would work with a little bit higher numbers. And the smaller the numbers, the easier it's going to get. So I'm going to decide to multiply every single term by 2 to eliminate the decimals. So I'm going to mark everything here times 2, and I'm going to multiply this times 2. So I'm going to use the distributive property to multiply every single term. And that's going to give me 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 to get 2y. So now this is going to be a little tricky, but what we can do is we can use a generic rectangle, right? And one way to use the generic rectangles is when y is equal to 0. So if we set y equal to 0, 0 times 2 is still going to give us a 0, okay? So now we're going to use a generic rectangle with the diamond problem. So in that corner, we're going to put the x squared term, so it's 2x squared. In the bottom corner, we use the constant, which is negative 5. Then we're going to transfer that information. So the product of the diagonals goes right here. So 2x squared minus 5, that's negative 10x squared. And in this part of the diamond, we have a sum of the x terms, which is 3x. Now we're going to think of two factors of negative 10x squared, but when we add them together, are going to give us 3x. So take a moment, you can pause the video, see if you can figure out the two factors. So the two factors would be 5x and negative 2x. And we're going to put those in whichever order, doesn't really matter, into the generic rectangle. So now we can find the factors. Now we can find the dimensions of the generic rectangle as my dog circulates around the kitchen. Why not? All right, so we have 2x times x to get 2x squared, 2x times negative 1 to get negative 2x, x times 5 to get 5x, and 5 times negative 1 to get negative 5. So we're going to transform this information as the product of two binomials. Product of two binomials. So we have 2x plus 5, and then x minus 1. All right, so now using the zero product property, we're going to set each of those equations equal to 0 and solve for x. So here we would subtract 5 from each side. That's going to give us 2x is equal to negative 5. Divide each side by 2. X equals negative 5 divided by 2. That's negative 5 halves, or negative 2.5. And then here, adding 1 to each side, that's going to yield x equals to positive 1. So the method that we have used here is multiplying each term of the equation by a number to eliminate the decimals.